The ground doesn't warn you. It doesn't whisper. It doesn't shake politely first. It waits. And in this city of stone cathedrals and narrow alleys, of silk gowns and ship bells echoing across the harbor, everything looks permanent. The churches rise like declarations. The palaces gleam. Gold crosses catch the sun. Nothing here feels fragile. But beneath the polished marble floors, beneath the market squares, beneath the crowded taverns and candlelit homes, something shifts in silence. And no one sees it coming. Lisbon in the early 1700s is rich, not modestly rich, not cautiously prosperous. It is swollen with wealth. Ships glide into the Tagus River heavy with Brazilian gold and sugar. The docks creak under cargo and ambition. Sailors shout, priests bless. Merchants argue over prices that would feed villages for years. The empire stretches across oceans, and Lisbon sits at its center, certain, devout, untouchable. Or so it believes. Because when a city grows this quickly, it begins to mistake luck for destiny. And destiny has a habit of correcting that mistake. Walk through the Bexa district at dawn. The streets are tight and winding. Balconies nearly kiss across the alleys. Laundry sways between buildings like flags of surrender no one notices. The houses are tall 5, 6 stories, leaning slightly, but still standing. Always standing. Stone over stone, brick over brick. No one asks how stable they really are. Why would they? They have stood for generations. But foundations remember things that people forget. Inside the royal palace, decisions are being made. Gold pours in from Brazil faster than it can be counted. King Jove commissions grand projects, monasteries, convents, ornate churches layered in marble and gilded wood, faith and power braided together in architecture. The message is clear: Lisbon is chosen. Blessed. Protected. But protection can become a dangerous illusion. Because the more magnificent a city becomes, the more it has to lose. The churches are always full. Candles flicker beneath painted ceilings, incense coils toward heaven, confessions are whispered, sermons promise order in a chaotic world. Sin explains everything. Misfortune has meaning. God rewards the faithful. And Lisbon considers itself very faithful. But faith does not reinforce stone. And stone does not negotiate with the earth. Out by the harbor, fishermen notice something strange from time to time. A subtle tremor beneath their feet. A vibration in the hull. So slight it could be imagination. They laugh it off. The sea is restless, the world moves, wood creaks. They go back to work. But the tremors are not coming from the sea. They are coming from below. The city grows upward. Higher buildings, narrower streets, more weight pressing down onto foundations laid long before anyone imagined this kind of expansion. Engineers are not consulted. Geology is not understood. Stability is assumed. And assumptions can be fatal. There are small signs. A cracked wall in a chapel. A doorway that no longer closes cleanly. A faint rumble felt at night, dismissed as thunder. Each one explainable. Each one ignorable. Individually harmless. Together a warning. But warnings only matter if someone listens. Meanwhile, Lisbon celebrates. Feasts spill into courtyards. Bells ring across the hills. Wealth transforms neighborhoods almost overnight. Noble families compete in spectacle. The poor crowd closer together in the shadows of magnificence. The contrast sharpens. Privilege above. Precariousness below. And the earth does not discriminate between the two. Far beneath the Atlantic, along fractures no one in Lisbon knows exist, pressure builds. Not quickly, not violently, but steadily. Centuries of tension accumulating along a boundary invisible to every map in the city. The plates grind. The stress tightens. And when pressure builds without release, it doesn't stay patient forever. Inside a small stone house near the Alfama district, a family prepares for a religious holiday. Candles are placed carefully, Oil lamps are filled. The children are dressed in their best clothes. The mother adjusts a painting on the wall that has tilted slightly for weeks. She presses it back into place. It tilts again. She frowns but lets it go. Outside, church bells begin to ring. Across Lisbon, thousands move toward the same stone sanctuaries. The streets fill. The candles are lit. The prayers begin. And somewhere, deep below the city that believes itself blessed, something finally gives. The first sound is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is a low, impossible groan rising from beneath everything Lisbon has ever built. And then, the ground moves. The floor does not ripple. It heaves. Stone walls convulse as if struck by something alive beneath them. Chandeliers snap from ceilings. Church columns twist. The sound is not a crash. It is a roar, deep and metallic, as if the city itself is being torn open. People do not understand at first. They stumble. They reach for door frames. They shout prayers that are swallowed by the noise. And then the buildings begin to fall. It's not one, not two, entire streets. Inside the churches, where thousands have gathered, the ceilings collapse first. Marble fractures like brittle clay, heavy altars split, statues of saints shatter mid-prayer, candles scatter across wooden floors as beams crash downward. Faith cannot hold up a roof. The same stone that once felt eternal becomes a weapon. And within minutes, Lisbon's sanctuaries become tombs. The shaking does not stop quickly. It rolls through the city in violent waves. The ground splits, pavement buckles, cracks race down walls like lightning frozen in stone. Screams fill the air. Dust swallows the sky. And then, as suddenly as it began, silence. A stunned, choking silence broken only by collapsing debris and distant cries. But this is not the end. It is only the first blow. Survivors run toward open spaces. Toward the harbor. Toward the wide stone quay along the Tagus River, where nothing towers above them. It feels safer there. Solid, stable, the river glitters in the morning light. For a moment, it seems calm. Too calm, because the water is moving backward. The river pulls away from the docks. Ships tilt awkwardly as the water retreats beneath them. The seabed is exposed, fish flapping, anchors scraping against mud. Children stare, adults point in disbelief. No one in Lisbon has seen the sea behave this way. Some move closer. Curiosity is powerful. But the ocean is not retreating. It is gathering itself. The horizon thickens. A dark line rises where the river meets the Atlantic. It grows rapidly, not like a wave on a windy day, but like a wall. And then it comes. The first surge slams into the harbor with impossible force. Ships are lifted like toys and hurled inland. Stone docks shatter. People are swept away mid-scream. Water barrels through streets, already fractured by the quake. Those who fled the collapsing buildings now face something worse. And there is no high ground close enough. 3 waves strike in succession. Each one stronger. Each one dragging the broken city further into chaos. Debris becomes shrapnel, carriages spin, doors and beams crash into bodies. The river does not distinguish between rich and poor, believer and skeptic. It takes what it wants. And then it recedes, leaving behind a landscape no one recognizes. But Lisbon is not finished suffering. The candles, thousands of them, knocked over inside shattered homes, inside collapsed churches, inside markets crushed into splinters. Small flames begin to climb. At first they seem minor, isolated, manageable, but the city is built tightly. Wood beams, cloth awnings, narrow alleys designed to trap heat and wind. Fire spreads faster than fear. By afternoon, Lisbon is burning. Not in scattered patches. In walls of flame that leap from building to building. The wind carries embers across districts already reduced to rubble. Survivors who escaped stone and water now choke on smoke. There is no organized fire brigade. No plan for this. The city that planned for glory never planned for collapse. And the inferno grows beyond control. For 5 days, the fires rage. Night glows orange. The sky is permanently darkened. People camp in open fields beyond the ruins, afraid to return, afraid to sleep, afraid the earth will move again. Aftershocks ripple through what little remains standing. Each tremor reminds them this was not a single event. It was a reckoning. Tens of thousands are gone. Churches flattened. Palaces erased. Entire districts reduced to ash and fractured stone. The wealth of an empire cannot buy back a morning. And for the first time, Lisbon understands how small it truly is. King João V is no longer alive to witness this collapse of certainty. Power now rests with new hands, and with them comes a decision that will shape the future. Rebuild as before. Restore the same narrow streets and heavy stone walls. Or admit that the old Lisbon, the chosen, protected, untouchable Lisbon, was an illusion. That decision hangs in the smoke. And this time, the choice will not be guided by spectacle, but by survival. The Marquis of Pombal rises to the moment. He does not kneel in the ruins. He does not call it divine punishment. He asks a question instead. What failed? It is a dangerous question in a deeply religious city. But it is the right one. Engineers are summoned, streets are redesigned, buildings are reconstructed with internal wooden frameworks meant to flex, not shatter, when the earth moves again. The new Lisbon will not be as ornate. It will be rational, measured, prepared, because once you have watched your city burn to its foundations, you stop mistaking beauty for safety. The disaster does not just change Lisbon. It shakes Europe. Philosophers argue over meaning, theologians struggle with explanation. The certainty that disasters are simply divine judgment begins to fracture. If the most devout city in the empire can be reduced to rubble in minutes, what does that say about protection? About destiny? About control? The earthquake redraws more than streets. It redraws belief. Lisbon rebuilds. It stands again. But it stands differently. Not as a monument to inevitability. Not as a symbol of being chosen. But as a city that understands something most places never want to learn. The ground beneath you is not loyal. It is patient. And survival belongs not to the proud, but to the prepared. If this story moved you, if it made you see cities, faith, and certainty in a different light, stay with us. Because history is not a list of dates. It is a warning. And some of those warnings are still echoing beneath our feet. Subscribe and we'll uncover the next one.